Hey guys, let's talk about my February TBR. Okay, before I get into my February TBR, I need to do some explaining, just a little bit of explaining. I have had a horrible January. Part of that is due to the fact that I have not been able to focus. I have been dealing with something. I've been helping out a friend, and that has taken the majority of my time and my mental headspace. So I don't want to get into the details of it, but it has been a lot to handle. I will continue to be a good friend. I will continue to help my friend out as long as she needs it. So that's kind of where I am. And that's going to change my February TBR just a little bit because I need things that aren't going to take my full brain power because I'm already invested in something else. So this month's MBR is going to be geared towards that instead of the goals I had set for myself at the beginning of the year. That is also why in my wrap up you will see there were quite a few books I didn't get around to reading because they took too much mental power for me. I am still planning to read The Lonesome Crown for my patrons, get that video out. It is going to be at a time when I can sit down and focus on reading instead of focusing on my friend, but my friend does take priority because I'm going to be here for her as long as she needs it. But let's go ahead and jump into February's TBR, MBR, however you guys want to look at that. So I will be tackling the second of the books that are on my 12 books by 12 friends. That would be Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. Now, I'm sure you guys have heard all about this. It's cozy fantasy about an orc who opens up a coffee shop, has a sapphic romance, and shenanigans ensue. But here's the thing, I'm not a cozy reader, so I don't know how I'm going to feel about this, but it does give me that lighthearted airiness that I kind of need right now, just a little bit. Something to get me out of my current headspace. On that same note, I have kind of been binging a series, which is so weird for me, so weird for me. I am currently on the second book of the series, but I'm going to be adding Kingdom of the Feared by Carrie Maniscalco. Now, this is a no thoughts, just vibes kind of read for me because I love witches. I love stories about demons. I love stories about hellscapes and things like that. And this is delivering all of that. I'm really enjoying it. The series as a whole, I feel is like going to land at a 4 stars. So for me, that's a really good series. Maybe not a favorite of all time. It probably will end up in my top 100, but towards the lower end. This is a YA story, all centering around one main character who gets involved with kind of the princes of hell. That's pretty much how you need to look at the story. One in particular, Wrath. So I've been really, like I said, enjoying it. It's a no thoughts, all vibes type of story. Enemies to lovers, kind of just my jam. What I need whenever I don't want to think too hard about what I'm reading. So yes, and this is also one of the books that my son got me for Christmas. So I've been trying to get to this one, and I've read Kingdom of the Wicked. I'm currently reading Kingdom of the Cursed, and then this will be for February. Trying to progress some of my goals, I do have a few sequels on this list, and one of them being Spellmaker by Charlie and Holmberg. I really love Spellbreaker. It has like historical mystery and fantasy vibes. Our main character, Elsie, she gets wrapped up in this big scheme and she doesn't realize that she's a part of the problem until things unfold. The people that she thought she was working for turn out to be like shady. And that's all I can say without spoilers, but I really, really enjoyed the first book of this series. So I want to finish out the duology and continue on with more Charlie and Holmberg's works. I do have quite a few. I bought a lot of them in an Audible sale, and then I do have some physicals as well. Now, I do still want to read fantasy, and I do still want to read dark fantasy and things like that, but I'm trying to pick up a few of the lighter books or ones that I got so invested in the first book that I know I will be able to get wrapped up in the second book, no problem. So that is Sorcery of a Queen by Brian Naslund. Now the first is Blood of an Exile. I read that last year, really enjoyed it. It had some unique qualities to it that made me really want to continue, and I'm really excited to see where this story goes. Now the first book of this series does have a very romance cover. romance looking cover. There it is right there. And that has turned a lot of people off to the series, and I totally get it. I understand. The picture makes sense once you read the book, but I totally get why that has turned some people off. Now, one that is going to take a little brain power, but I love the first one so much that I think I can get through this one. If not, then I can't. But I'm really hoping that I can. The Spider by Leo Carew. This is the second book, the first being The Wolf, in the Under the Northern Sky series. I really enjoyed all of the politicking of the first book. The world building was great. The characters themselves were awesome to follow. I really liked that we got two sides of the war, but we have two leaders on each side of this war. So you get to see a lot of the way the politics work on each side, and it was so good. It was so good. I really enjoyed Leo Carew's writing as well. So that's always a big plus for me. And mine is sticky. There was a sticker here. Again, sticking with the books that aren't going to take a whole lot of brain power, but I still want to be reading fantasy. I have Empire of Exiles by Aaron M. Evans. Now, the reason I chose this, one, it's been one of my most anticipated books ever since it released, and I'm pretty sure we're coming up on the release of the second book, but this has a mystery at the heart of it, and I really love like fantasy and mystery. I love genre melding. If you can do that well, I'm hooked. And I have to say this because you guys know sci-fi fantasy is like my absolute top tier favorite, but fantasy and mystery, I do think I could like that just as much. And there are quite a few people who have similar reading tastes to me who have really, really enjoyed this. And it's a little underrated, a little underhyped. So very excited to get into this. Now we have two repeats from last month, and that is The Goddess of Nothing at All by Kat Rector and A Desolation Called Peace by Arcady Martine. Now this one might take more brain power than what I have. So I want to tentatively add it because it is a series that I would like to finish, but this one I was able to get the audiobook for it as well so I can immersive read, and I think that'll help me out in being able to get some reading done without taxing my brain too much. But I've been really excited to get to this one, and I was really bummed when I didn't get to it. This was my indie book pick for the month, but our Patreon buddy read is going to be The Pact by J.E. Hannaford. So it's a Selkie story set on the water, which makes sense for why I have added it to my Patreon bingo. But I'm really looking forward to that one, and I don't want to discount this one by adding that one. So I have two indie picks for the month, just adding the one from January and The Pact that we will be reading for my Patreon buddy read. Now, another that's a sequel is Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig. I am so excited to get to this one. I loved the first one, One Dark Window, loved it so much. And I've been kind of putting this off because I did get this for Christmas. So yes, this is stretching it a bit for me because I've been very excited to read this, but for no particular reason, just because I had other plans that I wanted to make sure that I stuck to the plan, even though it's gone out the window this month. But I really want to see where this story goes because the first one was great. I know it's a bit divisive and I don't get it. Just to be perfectly honest with you, I don't get why people don't like this, especially people who like similar books. I don't get it. And lastly, I have Kajin the Damned, whatever. I don't even know how you pronounce this, but this is another that I have an audiobook for and I can immersive read. And I've been dying to get to this because I love Jonathan Mayberry. I love his little zombie series that he did for middle grade, young adult. Not really sure how that fits. They progress into young adult, but I really love that. And I love to read more by Jonathan Mayberry. I've heard that this has a very unlikable main character and that it would be up my alley. So very morally gray, and you guys know I love a morally gray character. So a well-written morally gray character as well. But this is one I can immersive read, so I'm very much looking forward to it. Now, I do want to talk about the books that I'm not going to be getting to that were on my TBR. Powder Mage, I want to read it so badly, but I know it's going to take brain power, and I'm probably going to do a pile of shame video here soon because there were books that were taking more brain power than I could give them over this last month, and I did have some DNFs, some that I don't plan to pick up, but I did have some NFNs as well, so we'll get there when we get there. But that is my TBR MBR for February, and if you guys want to read along with me, I have also opened that up on my Patreon as well, if any of these appeal to you. And then, of course, I have my bingo boards going on my Patreon if you would like to win a free book. And all of that stuff is linked in my Linktree link down below. I hope you guys have an excellent reading day. Bye.